Good morning. Sorry, I'm running in here. I just gave an announcement for Shine, the ministry at the Bridge Church. Pretty awesome little church. It was a pleasure to go speak in front of them. That was kind of cool. But here I am. We're talking about let your light shine today. And I'm not necessarily talking about the ministry, but that will, in Exeter, Shine Ministry. I'm not going to talk a lot about Shine, but that will kind of creep its way in because they are shining in our community. One of our verses is in Luke. It's Luke 1:78 through 79. This verse says, "Because of the tender mercy of God, by which the rising sun will come to us from heaven to shine on those living in darkness and in the shadow of death, to guide our feet in the path of peace." So Christ has shined his light on us when we were living in a dark world, right? When we were lost in our sin, lost in our darkness, God shined his light on us and gave us peace. And this verse is basically telling us that we need to do the same thing. Doesn't our world need peace right now? If you haven't noticed, there's some pretty chaotic stuff going on in our world right now. It needs peace. I think for all of us, whether we voted one side or the other, or we're disappointed or we're excited, we should remember that the Bible says that God appoints all authority. And so our job as a Christian is to, one, respect that, even though it's hard sometimes. But the number one job is to spread peace, to be a light. We sing this song, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine," right? Little kids sing it, and it brings joy to us when we sing this song, right? But is it really that joyful? Is it that easy when we walk out into this dark world and we shine our light? There's a few things that happen when we shine our light that introverts don't generally like or come natural. Wow, those were a lot better in the little bitty picture on the internet. But these are a few pictures taken recently of riots. Just kind of a reminder of why we need to shine our light, why we need to be that light of peace in this dark world. Because this is going on all over the place in all of our major cities, even Fresno, and people are disgruntled, and it's just chaos. Regardless of your stance, it's chaos. You can't deny that. And to be a light of peace, though we sing about it in church, is not so easy sometimes. Especially the darker it seems, the harder it is, right? In our church, we all shine our light, right? We have people that come up and serve, and we do good things. But I kind of had this analogy, and I had this vision. This is a pretty bright flashlight. And this isn't like a really well-lit room, like, because we like the ambient light, right? So you can see the effect of the flashlight. But this flashlight is really, really strong. And then at night, it makes things like daylight. You can see it really well. But when there's light, it kind of just blends in. It doesn't really add an effect, right? But it's still doing its purpose. It's still shining its light. It's doing what it's designed to do. As Christians, when we walk in this building, it is so easy to flip this switch. And I had this vision, and I'm not saying that this is our church, but this could be churches all over the world. This could be just individual people. But I had this vision of this floating light bulb that kind of floats around next to us all the time. And that as we walk in the building of the church, we click the old light bulb that you had to pull. Okay, kids, there used to be old light bulbs. You pull the string, click, and the light bulb comes on. So you pull the string, and the light bulb comes on as you come into the church, and then you're shining your light. And amongst all the other lights, it makes us feel good, and it's so important. I was just bragging I had this guy come to me at work. It's amazing. Like, I don't preach to guys at work. They're construction workers. They got potty mouths and all this other stuff going on in their life. But some of them have really, really hard, bad home life going on. And this guy's telling me about it, and usually it's their marriage is all in shambles, and I've tried everything. And this was a different guy from the last time I preached, so this happens quite often. It's more repetitive, more continuous now, these young kids coming to me for advice. He says, I tried everything. I said, did you try church? Nope. Oh, so you haven't tried. And I'm pretty blunt with the guys because I'm not going to wiggle my way around it. I don't have time for that. And so I said, so in my eyes, because I'm a pastor, you haven't even tried on your marriage. You haven't tried to put it back together because you haven't done something like this. You haven't went to church. And I said, and it's not about church. I go, because I could probably live without church, but I could not live without my church family. And I said, my church family holds me together when I'm falling apart. My church family is the light and the comfort that I need when there is no comfort in this world. My church family holds me up. And I don't know how you do it without a church family. And I told him, I go, so if you're going to go to church, don't just sit in the back row and not say anything to anybody and then leave right at the end of service and just disappear. You got to get in the middle of it. Because his wife is dealing with alcoholism, and she's not very good at it, and she can't do it alone. And I said, dude, if you had a church family of women that could surround her and lift her up and build her up, dude, this would be a mute issue. It would be done. Jesus Christ could come into your life, change your whole demographic of your family, and your life would be so much better. But you have to be the man and lead them to that. I don't know if I could have told him that 5 years ago. I don't know if my light I would have been willing to share my light like that. The more we share our light, the easier it becomes. I thought that might be encouraging to you guys to know that that's what you guys are for me. When I don't know how many times in the last 15 years that I needed help and somebody helped me from my church. It's so important to shine our light even in this place of light. It is very important to do that. And it's so easy to do that, isn't it? Sometimes we as we're walking outside, we see this bright, sunshiny day we're walking into. It's so beautiful and it's bright. And it may, for a moment, confuse us to believing that we're walking into a bright, sunshiny world. But in reality, the Bible describes the world as a dark place. So, Corey, could you help me with this? You could even turn that off if you can. So, we live in a dark world. I'm going to switch mics real quick. Something everyone is familiar with is light. Now, if this room was pitch black, this light would be a lot more apparent. It would be really, really crazy. Don't worry, I'm not going to burn down the church. But this light illuminates everything around it. It illuminates it. It gives us something to look for. The most interesting thing is none of you are looking at me. Most of you are looking at the flame. Isn't that weird how you can't help but stare at it, right? In the darkness, when you shine your light, a few things happen. When you shine your light, first of all, we were in the darkness at one time. And we looked up and we saw this, beautiful cross, illuminating our path, giving us hope, saving us from this dark world, truly illuminating the path in front of us, a path of peace, no longer living in chaos living of up and down roller coasters, but such a peaceful way of life. A few things about light in darkness. I said earlier that an introvert does not like, or it's really hard for an introvert to share their light, shine their light. Have you ever been in a really, really cold place, outside maybe, and there's a fire around? In that fire, you see people swarming to it, right? Everybody swarms to the fire. If it's under 50 degrees, everybody swarms to that fire. And that fire brings warmth. You ever stood by a fire? You can't help but just stare into the beautiful light of the fire. And you can turn the lights back on. When we go out into this dark, dark world and we shine our light, people are drawn to us. Understand why introverts don't like it now? Understand why it's really hard for an introvert to get out of that bubble and really move and do that? My wife, so I don't pace like back and forth, my wife is an introvert. It's really cool because watching God work through her, she volunteered with Shine and wanted to be a big part of Shine, but wanted to be actually a little part of Shine. And she ends up doing so much more for them. And she tells me, hey, the one thing I want you to tell these guys when you go to the meeting tonight is that don't ask me to go solicit donations. Not going to do it. Don't want to do it. I'm like, all right, cool. So I go tell the guys, hey, Tina will do anything you want, but don't ask her to solicit donations. And so she sleeps on that, I guess. Everybody was fine with it. We're pretty cool. We don't want any ministry to become a burden. And she gets up the next morning, and what is she doing all day long? Oh, she's soliciting donations from people and saying, hey, you want to do this? You want to donate to Shine? And she's doing all this stuff that, like, she said she didn't want anything to do with, and she's doing it on her own. Nobody asked her to, and she's shining this light, and it's so cool to watch. But it's definitely not comfortable for her. It's so out of her comfort zone. But in Philippians, we have some encouragement. Philippians 2, 13 through 15. I was actually going to read this out of that ISV, because I think it just words a little bit better. It says, for it is God who is producing in you both the desire and the ability to do what pleases him. Do everything without complaining or arguing, so that you may be blameless and innocent, God's children, without any faults, among a crooked and perverse generation, among whom you shine like stars in this world. Anywhere in the Bible it talks about shining, it's like it is describing something so bright in utter darkness. It's describing a light that things are drawn to. Your eyes are drawn to the stars when you look up in the sky. Your eyes are drawn to a fire, and God says he wants to ignite a fire in us. Our eyes are drawn to the light. And in this world, if you are a true light, if you are shining your light, people will be drawn to you. I like the analogy of a flame, because a flame is warmth, and everybody is drawn to warmth, right? Now, this could be a very scary picture, if you could tell what it is. It's one match that is lit, and it's like hundreds of matches standing at attention. Now, when somebody is on fire for the Lord, when somebody encourages someone else to shine their light, and they do, another match lights up. Now, can you imagine if all those matches are lit in that dark place, it's no longer dark. It's a bonfire. Philippians 2:13 or 14, sorry. It says that, wrong version, sorry. God produces in us the desire and the ability. The desire to make our light shine. The desire that even though it's uncomfortable, we still desire to do something. And the ability to do it. Even though we're introverted, we can still do something that shines our light. Kind of a quick story. I was a new Christian, and my mom was getting a knee replacement, and I was sitting in a waiting room, a surgery waiting room, waiting for her to come out of surgery, just praying and reading my Bible. And my aunt, who had been a Christian all my knowing life, was sitting with me. And as I was praying, God was kind of like whispering, look around you. All these people need prayer. Go pray. And I didn't go pray for every single one of them, but when I looked up, I saw this one guy, and God it felt like I needed to pray with this guy. And so I walked over to him. I said, hey, can I pray with you? You know, if you're in a waiting room, you know how many people will tell you no? Not very many. Because it gives them hope. It gives them courage. It gives them strength, right? And so you're in a hospital and you're bored, like we usually are. We're sitting in a waiting room at a hospital. There's just so many people that need prayer, desire prayer. So I walk over and ask him, hey, can I pray with you? He says, yes. I don't remember the prayer. I don't know if it was some magnificent God-spoken word or nothing like that. It was just a prayer for that guy. He didn't tell me his situation. He didn't tell me why he was there. I didn't ask. I just prayed with the guy. And the interesting thing to me, because I was a new Christian, fairly new, probably 4 or 5 years into Christianity, I walked back over to my aunt, and she has this like white as a ghost, shocked face on, and she's like, how in the world did you do that? And I go, do what? Like, I've been able to walk for a long time. And she meant pray with this guy, right? I was like, I just did it. God said, go pray, and so I went and prayed. But she's introverted. It's not, see, when I used to be introverted. For some reason, Jesus said, nope, that's not going to happen for the rest of your life. You're not going to be introverted. You're going to be extroverted. You're going to preach in front of people. You're going to talk to people in large groups. And it's interesting that my introvertedness comes out. I was just preaching, or not preaching, but just speaking at another church of like, they're a pretty small congregation, maybe 20, 25 people in there. And I tend to speak a lot faster when I'm nervous, and my introverted starts sneaking up on me, and I'm just trying to get out of there. But it opened my eyes to, wow, sometimes it's really difficult for people to shine their light. It's really difficult when you're trying to create a ministry and then do the ministry all by yourself. It's kind of why I like Shine, is because there's a group of guys that are sitting there dreaming up dreams, like feeding 200 people, and there's 4 of us in the room, and we have no clue how we're going to do it. And so we just call upon all the Christians in Exeter and hope that we get somewhere close to that goal. Not sure where we're going to be, but we're not discouraged even if we only get 60. I know we're at least going to get that. So we're praising God for every house that we can donate food to. But it did open my eyes to how hard it is sometimes to shine our light in this dark world. I want to encourage you that God says He's giving us the desire and the ability. He doesn't give you the desire to go pray with people, but lack the ability. It's a God-given ability. In 2 Timothy 1:7, he says, for God did not give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power, of strength, and of self-discipline. And so when what keeps us from being extroverted or shining our light is the fear of what people might say or people might think or the reactions that we're going to get from people, especially in this really dark world where we see riots and crazy stuff going on. And I'm supposed to spread peace? I'm supposed to spread it. Matthew 5:15 has a little bit more encouragement and instruction for us. Matthew 5:14 and 15 says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden, neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify the Father in heaven." It says, let your light shine before others. And that's what I was talking about. When we go out into this dark world, we have to let our light shine, even though it's harder to do. See, if each one of us is a match and we all go out in a group and we let our light shine in this world, we become a huge light outside of this building. See, I kind of like to kind of expand on that. It says we don't put a light under a bowl, right? Well, we don't keep it in a building either. If we keep it in the building, we all benefit from it, and it feels great, and it's amazing, and it's awesome, and we love each other. And the Bible even says in John 13:35 that they will know us by the way we love each other. But if we love each other in the building, they don't see it. So we got to love each other outside, which means we got to get out of our comfort zone. We got to get out into this culture, get out into this world, and we got to do that ministry. Be that light. Okay. There's also a verse in the Bible. I missed it. I may have already read it. It says that do everything without complaining or arguing. When you let your light shine, don't complain about it, don't argue about it. Do everything without complaining or arguing. When we do ministry, if ministry becomes burdensome, it takes away some of that blessing. And I don't think there's a single ministry that I know of that says, we want you to give until you're burdened by it. Now, there is some amazing blessing in sacrificial giving. There is some amazing greatness that happens when we sacrifice a little after giving. But we never want it to be a burden to somebody, to the point where they want to complain about it and argue about it, whether they should or not. And so I would encourage you that, I know I've been asking for a lot for Shine and for our Open Arms kids and stuff like that this month. If you don't have the money or the time, please just say, hey, I'm going to pray for you, because that is so much more important. For you to be blessed and you to be encouraged and to bless us with prayer and bless this church with prayer is so much more important than getting worn out with, wow, they need this and they need this and then this. You know, God will provide in every situation. And so we are so thankful for Shine would like to thank you guys, because you guys rock. Last week we sponsored 20 bags, maybe 21 bags. 21 homes that will eat more this holiday season because of us. And if you weren't here last week and you would like an opportunity to sponsor a family, it's $35. If you can't afford $35 and you just want to give a smaller donation, that's accepted too, because it's all going to go into one big pot. It's going to buy a bunch of food for a bunch of people. And so what that will mean is, if we don't have enough for an extra household, then each household might get a little bit something more type thing. And we may be able to put a few little special items in there that we wouldn't have been able to do before. So when you let your light shine in this world, don't be discouraged. You're not alone. When a match is lit and it lights another and it lights another and it lights another, the one thing that they have in common is that they're all lit and they're all matches. They're all together. They have unity. If we go out into this world, this dark world, and all we try to do is love everyone we come in contact with. There's one thing that I love about a ministry like Shine. They're not shoving Jesus at people, and they're not shoving a church label and a church title at people. They're shoving love at them. They're just saying, hey, we're going to be available to love on you at this time. Come on over and get some love. And if you don't want love, don't show up. See, I don't think the early church was inviting people to church. Now, inviting people to church is good. It's a good thing to invite people to church. But I was sitting there thinking, now, I have a best friend. He's been my best friend since I was like 8 years old. And he's not necessarily, you wouldn't call him my best friend because we don't hang out all the time. We just go to breakfast every, like once a quarter or something like that now. But man, if he would go to church, if he would find Jesus, that would be such a blessing to me. But I don't care what church he goes to. I just want him to have Jesus in his heart. And I think that's where we kind of, in our when we do push, like if we were to canvass this neighborhood and we were to say, hey, come to our church. See, for some reason, this culture hears something completely different. And this culture, this generation is all about feelings and emotions. It's not about truth and fact. That's why we need to be the light. We need to be the truth. We need to be the fact. And we go into this culture, we go into this neighborhood and we say, please come to our church. All they hear is, we want your money. And that's the farthest thing from the truth. We don't want their money. We want to be able to love on them. The early church had something going for them. Christianity, when it exploded, they were the best at a few things. They were the best at taking care of widows. They were the best at taking care of orphans. The government had nothing on them. I think that's why they grew and exploded so much, is because they gave it everything. The early church also, like, pretty much if you were going there, you were donating everything you had, and they put it all in a pot and then they distributed it, which we definitely don't do that now because some of us wouldn't be distributing a third or a tenth or 1% of others. But in the aspect of just coming together in unity, they all came together to help people. And they did it so well that it was very apparent. They did it so well in their own communities that it exploded. And so maybe a ministry like Shine, with the help of all the other Christians in Exeter, could do something like that. It's a lot easier for a ministry to just tag alongside and help another ministry than to create one of their own. They don't get the credit for it, which is a bummer sometimes for a lot of pastors, but they do get to be a blessing. They do get to shine their light without having to create it and have all the servants and have all the workers. And so it is a good thing to get involved with, a good thing to shine our light. It's also a lot easier to shine your light with other light. We explained that, right? With the flashlight, all the lights are on. It's easy to shine your light with other people. It's really difficult to do it on your own, especially if you're introverted. It'd be a lot easier to go with somebody that's an extrovert and pray with people when all you have to do is stand next to them. So I guess what I would encourage you to do is as family of God, continue doing what you're doing, being that family, being that love, because I need you, because we all need each other. But remember that we believe in the truth and the fact of the Word of God. And he says that we have the ability and the desire that is given to us by him to shine our light in this dark world. And not only to shine it, but to shine a light that leads to peace and unity. Because that's what we're about, right? Family. And so, as we stand and sing, if you have anything on your heart that you need to come forward to, we'll be up here. But remember, go out and shine your light this coming week.